Good evening and welcome to tonight's board meeting of the Math and Science Academy Board of Directors. Tonight is Tuesday, February 20th, 2024. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:20. Brian, will you read the vision and mission?
So the vision is to be innovative, sustainable model of academic excellence for all students that creates a well-rounded, lifelong learners and global citizens. Our mission is that we will provide accelerated and inclusive curricula and instruction in all subject areas with an emphasis on math and science.
Heather, will you read the land acknowledgement?
We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the land of the Oceti Shakoi, the people of the 7 council fires and the Wakapute Band. It is within MSA's responsibility as an academic institution to disseminate knowledge about Indigenous peoples and their history with this land. MSA works to build relationships with Native American students and families through academic pursuits and historical recognition.
Roll call of members: Wendell Slutton, here. Isaac Leonardi,
Here.
Sarah Harms,
Here.
Karina Lozano,
Here.
Jules Kinkle,
Here.
Brian Linsmeyer,
Here.
Hedo Patel,
Here.
Dan Ellingson,
Here.
Mary App.
Here.
So right off the bat here, we're going to be going into a closed meeting. This meeting is closed pursuant to Minnesota State Statute 13D.05, subdivision 3B3, to develop or consider offers or counter offers for the purchase or sale of real or personal property. Please clear the room. All right, welcome back. Thank you for your flexibility in our schedule, as we did receive a request from our building company to meet earlier to feed with their schedule. Our first closed session tonight was pursuant to Minnesota State Statute 13D05 sub 3C3, sorry, that's a correction, to develop or consider offers or counter offers for the purchase of the sale of real or personal property. And the second closed session was closed pursuant to statute 13D.05 subsection 3B to discuss the matters protected by attorney-client privileges. Caitlin, did you receive any open forum while you were out there? All right, so seeing as there's no open forum, we'll move forward with the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Yeah, we're okay, just making sure.
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda.
Approve it and then discussion would be the amendment.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion?
Yeah, I would like to amend the agenda to remove 12 point A, 3 little I, third-party investigation update.
Is there further discussion on that?
I'd like to keep it. That'd be my discussion.
I move for the removal because at the November board meeting, the board delegated the handling of the investigation to the firm RRM in order to ensure unbiased handling and prevent involvement from any board member or ED in the matter.
And I guess I'd like to keep it on because this investigation is regarding board member. we have to make sure that we're clearly delineating the fact that we have board members who are responsible and beholden to the school as board members, and we have other roles as well. And so there's two very separate discussions here. Tonight, I was hoping that we were strong enough to be able to handle a discussion on how we police ourselves. So we have an investigation report paid for by the school. We owe it to the public to come back with the results of that investigation as a board member. Nothing to do with administration or teacher or anything that's outside of our purview. So tonight I'm only asking that we keep third-party investigation update, discuss the results of the board member, and what does that have to do with our board as we move forward.
So I see three things. One, it seemed like a complete delegation and resolution to ensure that our hands didn't touch any board member's hands or the ED, that we didn't interject our judgment or potential bias, alleged bias, into the investigation. So if we were to discuss it, we need to undo a resolution, take it back. So I just don't, it was a resolution. Second thing is, we all signed a privileged communication agreement that said the contents of the investigation, including the 7 attachments, 7 or 9 attachments, I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly, should not be shared with any other persons to avoid both violations of the open meeting law, 13D, and violations of state and federal law regarding confidentiality, which invokes 13.43 concerns, which then takes me to private personnel data briefings that we got from our authorizer's law firm when we were coached on data privacy.
So maybe there's.
So those are my reasons. I'm sorry, I have
Go
one
ahead.
more,
Sure.
if you don't mind. Where it is placed on the agenda under 12, board report, would not permit us to have a discussion because there is nothing, we have not, none of us have stated what action item we're here to discuss in regards to the investigation. So we need to have a reasoned matter on the table that requires a decision, an actionable, votable item. So perhaps it's just not right on 12A because I believe that is just.
100% concede the final
Sorry, go
point
ahead.
because I was confused that it was even captured, right? So I think, just so everyone's clear, I asked for, we haven't had an investigation, the investigation was completed a couple of weeks ago. It's regarding a board member and board member behavior towards community members. That's what this investigation is. I'm not at all interested in going into specifics on what was found and all the legal stuff. I'm not a lawyer. I just know that we're a board, we need to police ourselves as board members, and now we have the outcome. So my question in the agenda setting process was, where do we want to have that discussion? And I know the board member who's responsible for the agenda setting is also part of this investigation. So it made for a sticky situation, so I think I copied Kate. I didn't see a response at that time, so I thought it was being ignored, so then I copied the board, just to say, okay guys, in case you also have questions, and where our investigation, and we always, once we have an investigation, come back with the outcome.
Okay, so Dan,
What does that mean for the community? Let me finish. I gave you 4
no,
points.
because I think you're about to breach.
No, I purposely
You
don't.
can't reference, you can't,
I
when you
purposely-
make those direct references, you,
So I'm really trying to see how can we handle an investigation of ourselves and not be so afraid that we're gonna breach some rule that we can't have a discussion about the board. If you think about last year, we went through 2 or 3 upheavals, correct? I'm just sharing, and they were some members on the board were upset about comments that were made, so much so that they came to the board and said, at that meeting, I want to kick this person off, make a motion, let's get him out, right? And now, instead of that process, we've actually gone through an investigation, come back with some substantial.
Dan, I have to call you out of order. The phrase that you just stated actually,
It was identifying.
it was identifying, but not only that, but the board made the decision, not the individual that proposed the motion. So therefore, you are out of order. You also need to keep in mind that your fiduciary duty is to move forward collectively with one voice. And the way that that was phrased is a violation of your fiduciary duty.
So this, let's just focus on this motion, right, piece by piece. Just think of it procedurally. I think we need, I'm moving to take it off 12A little 3 for the 4 reasons that I stated.
Where would you like to address it?
I'm not making a motion to address it. I
So again-
signed an agreement that says the content should not be shared with any other persons to avoid both violations of the open meeting law and violations of state and federal law regarding confidentiality. My only motion, my only ask is to remove item 12A little 3, third-party investigation update. Period.
And I guess my point is to the board, because I'm only one, I'm not the board. We have to do something. I'm not saying what to do. I'm just saying we have to address it. We can't ignore it. We can't have I've never seen an investigation that was not discussed, the results. Now, we don't go through all the details, of course, but we say, here was the findings, or this is what we do, and here's how we move forward. I'm surprised we're so afraid of that discussion. and
Well,
don't
I
understand.
don't think, please don't assume it's fear, but at the November meeting, the board decided to delegate the entire matter to a unbiased third-party investigator.
To investigate,
At
correct?
the request. No, I put a period there.
I mean, so,
So that
but
would-
I
that's
did, and
weak.
I may have been mistaken, I was thankful, let's do it. Let's be done with it, have an investigation, make it extremely unbiased,
Be done with it,
And
right?
then-
We-
and then
so
come
that
back with
we
the
wouldn't-
results.
So that we could, give the parties the unbiased,
In an interest of time, we do need to move forward. Is there
I-
any
I-
other discussion
I
from
guess
other
just Heather and
members?
Yeah, be
No,
interested in
yeah.
this. Any other points?
I mean, I kind of remember the conversation a little bit, and I thought that we said by going to the third party, we were gonna accept whatever they came out with. And I
But
think
what does that
you're-
mean, Brian?
And what I'm hearing you say is like, there should be a summary of what was found, kind of. And I don't think you're asking for names or this or that, but just a general statement behind it, is that what you're asking? Dan?
Yeah, I
Or-
mean, we've paid, I don't know how much we paid, but that's school
but we
money.
know that, right?
I don't remember how
We
much
have-
we paid, but the point is, we paid school money to do something. What did we get for that?
We all got the opportunity to review it. So, we all did, so, and we know that we can't discuss it. So unless there is a decision to be made, an actionable item for us here today, we can't,
So given, I guess along those lines, given that what we've all read or had a chance to read, would we change any of our setup? Would we change who has certain roles? Would we change board members? that would be something that would be within our control. That could be a decision that we can make as a board.
Those would be actionable items. I'm just, and I'm not motioning, I'm not making, my only motion is to remove 12A, 3 little I, third-party investigation update from this agenda for the reasons I stated in red.
So what I'm
Period.
hearing is if someone wanted to make an actionable motion, they could do that in the action items. They could make it a motion to add something to the agenda.
Well, we all have that.
Yeah.
We all have that right.
Yeah.
It's not best practice, we should bring forth
Yeah.
those pursuant to 203.5. Reason,
Yeah.
discussion, and decisions, yeah, those things, but yes, we all have that ability. And
Any further discussion from any other members? Or clarification? All right, let me back up for a second. Brian, do you wish to continue our motion with the amendment?
Yeah, we can, because I think we have to, right? Move forward with it before we can strike anything.
Sarah, do you move forward with your second?
Yeah.
All right, all in favor?
What are we voting on?
Motion to approve,
Hold on, yeah.
motion to approve the agenda with the amendment from the town. And so it was first by Brian, seconded by Harms. And before we continue that, is there any other amendments that need to be addressed? And I want to make sure that that is proposed. All right. Hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda with the removal of 12A3, little I. All in favor?
that's the only amendment?
Yep. Zano, Brian, Kinkle, Heddle, yourself. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. All right. Any conflicts of interest? All right. I'd like to motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed?
That
Abstained?
election policy looks good. Concise and clear. Good job.
Is there a motion to approve the January meeting minutes?
Hello, and I want to say thank you. No spelling errors and no grammar errors. So whatever changed, whatever worked, thank you.
Thank you for holding us accountable.
Like,
Thank you for keeping us accountable on that.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Any discussion? No spelling errors. No grammar errors. Celebrate, we gotta celebrate. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Excellent. So now we are on to the board and administration reports. We'd like to welcome our food pantry volunteers. Teacher Lozano, do you want to say something about the pantry since I know you have that?
I would love to say something about the food pantry volunteers. So, I am the coordinator for the food pantry. I could not do it without, the food pantry adult volunteers, the people in the office, Shawnee Holt, Emma, like, I know it's like job adjacent, but still, I could not do it without you guys' help. In addition, the food pantry would not exist without the amazing student interns that come and do the day-to-day nitty-gritty work. And I have some of last year's food pantry interns who are now seniors and still come back and help with the food pantry. And I am so unbelievably proud of them, and I'm so happy that we are able to recognize them this month.
And can I add, it's also, and it's been phenomenal work, and you know, as everybody here knows, we don't have a food program. And so on occasion, there are students who forget food, don't bring food. There are some students who are needy, and they are also provided with food. So it is a great benefit, not just for the students and getting lunch, but it also helps them in their learning. So we really, really do appreciate our student workers. They are, I'm just gonna say their first names, Bhavya, Leah, I'm sorry, Samantha, Yara, and Shriyam. So those of you who are here, if you wanna come forward and be recognized by the board.
You go in the middle. You want to shake or fist bump? That's up to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, and if you could just stay, I'll take a picture.
Should we gather?
Yeah.
Go this way, yeah.
Here, let me have, you maybe you scooch a little bit so you're kind of in front of Mr. Ellingson, not Ms. Harms. Not quite as tall. Thank you.
On your toes.
Just out of curiosity, do we know how many kids have been helped through the past year or?
Over 800 individual names last year alone.
Awesome.
Um,
And how, I'm just thinking for our public that's out
Yeah.
watching, that maybe don't know about the food pantry. How do you get the food? If people want to donate, how do they do that? How does it work?
Great question. So, I purchased the funds through the school and through donations. People can donate either by dropping off grocery gift cards up at the front offices, or they can email the food pantry @mnmsa.org to learn about donations. And then there's also a PayPal fundraiser that we have that I don't know the exact location on the website, but I can make
Reach
it.
out to Sean.
Yeah, anybody can contact me and I'll get you, I can't
Yeah.
give it to you right now, but I
Yeah.
can, I can find where
Yeah.
you would need it, so.
And again, if you email the food pantry email, I can send that to you as well. And we purchased, Costco has been a great supporter of us. They've donated hundreds of dollars to us over the past 2 years. We get a lot of their food from Costco, but also Target has donated to us before, and we get food from Target and Cub and Aldi's and wherever I need to get food for them.
We did have a SHIP grant, which is, draw a blank on what it stands for, the City of Woodbury provided. It's something to do with healthy, sorry, I don't have it in front of at the tip of my tongue right now, but anyway, they did donate some money to help get us going and get the refrigerators and stuff that we needed, so. Although we don't have a food program, it's kind of a relief to know that we have kids that have some means to get food when they forget or are not able to provide it.
Well, thank you for doing it, and for the corporations and the companies that have been donating. Thank you for
Right.
making those donations. I know I'll be making sure that when I'm doing my grocery shopping, I say thanks to them.
Yeah.
The other thing on the board report, so in January, we received our renewal with our authorizer. As part of our improvement plan, we did specify that we would all review our contract with them and sign Exhibit K. So you were tasked with our last workshop to review the contract and Exhibit K, and I have provided for you right now Exhibit K. If you could just peel off that last page, sign it, and pass it in, and take care of that tonight.
It's not a matter up for discussion, correct?
No.
It's just
We did discuss a little bit a few months ago about maybe shortening it a little bit. As I tried to review it, it seemed like there was a lot of duplications with laws and whatnot, so I know we're not doing it this time, but in the
We're up for
future,
renewal, so I think we can have that negotiation
it
time.
would be nice to just say reference charter law, reference whatever,
Mhm.
because those are laws anyways, as opposed to kind of, it also makes it possible to have errors, right? One says one thing, one says something else, so if we could just reference those, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, or just take out incorrect statutory references.
Yeah, so there's a few things in there, like No Child Left Behind is referenced, but No Child Left Behind isn't a thing anymore. So we'll be redoing all of this when we do our new contract, so, I've already been starting to talk with
Is it
Liz
every
just about a
5
few
years or
things.
not every 3, is it, or is it every 3?
This
So,
time we're at
Well,
3
this year
years.
it's 3. 750.
Very good.
And moving forward too, we'll be with best practices, we'll ensure that all onboarding members sign Exhibit K and read through the contract and part of the onboarding packet.
And then these then get scanned and put into the board folder then as well, so we have records.
Yep, so I've started a new folder in the board Google Drive, that's gonna be the new onboarding packet. We'll just kind of pull and rearrange things to ensure that everything's in one place and it's easy to read through. So right now, the contract itself with Exhibit K is in that folder. I have 6.
You just need to announce the usual.
Thank you very much for doing that, taking the time. All right. On to the executive director's report.
Okay. I thought it was gonna be relatively brief. I'll try to still keep us moving along. Caitlin, if you could click, Mr. Heyman couldn't be here today. It's looking favorable that he's been selected to be on a jury, so we hope that he is able to adjudicate justice for those who need it and get back to work here with me. But so I'm gonna do my best to go through the middle school science plan. What has brought this on is there has been a change in the graduation standards for students who will enter ninth grade next year, so students who are currently in the 8th grade. So in just, to be comprehensive, the science department just kind of is taking us through, in 6th grade, we've started the transition. Previously, we had taught life science. Now, everybody in 6th and 7th grade is taking earth science. Next year, 6th grade will be earth science, 7th grade will be life science, and then they will take engineering design as an elective course. And then in 8th grade, physical science, and then the students are also taking environmental science. So that was something that we added this year, is just trying to beef up the science components of our Math and Science Academy name. The next page, this is just what we're currently doing. This will continue for students who are currently in grades 9, 10, and 11. So nothing is changing for the students who are currently in high school. You know, and the 12th graders are graduating, it would be profoundly unfair to change their requirements now. Probably illegal. And then the next page is the science, the standard science course plan. So the science department came up with a standard course plan and then a science-focused course plan. So this is the standard plan, which is the more general plan. And so all students to graduate, and this is the state requirement, have to have earth science in high school, biology, and then a course of chemistry or physics. So in 9th grade, next year, students in the standard plan will have earth science and have the opportunity to take forensics. In 10th grade, they would have biology. And then in grade 11, they could choose chemistry or physics and then add any of the other science courses if they wanted to. And then 12th grade, they could still continue through any of the, so they could still have chemistry and physics, or they could have chemistry or physics or any combination, so long as they got chemistry or physics in 11th grade. For students who want to have a focused course plan on science, they would have earth science and biology next year. And then in 10th grade, they could take AP Bio and or chemistry. And then in 11th grade, they could go down a life science focused pathway or an engineering focused pathway. Nobody's trapped on any of those, but that's just kind of how the science department sort of seemed to see it laid out if you were kind of in the engineering focus or in the life science focus. So those are the pathways for those students.
Josh had a question.
I have a question. So
Sorry.
right now we have the freshmen taking biology, but
Yeah.
in the plan it will have the 10th graders taking biology. So for next year, for the freshmen that are already taking biology, what course would they take next year?
Nothing has changed for them, so they will continue with going on to chemistry and then physics. So their plan is not changing, it's just for the students in the class of 28.
Okay.
So that's a good question though, yes, Joseph?
I just have a question like regarding the classes. I don't know if this is like for the science teachers or whatnot, but like the Trinity like science, right, is like biology, chemistry, physics, right? So like I'm wondering why is it that we are doing chemistry or physics? You know, like why is it like one or the other? I mean, you can take both, but like you guys are kind of, because now we've added a fourth science class, right? Like it's switching up. I'm just kind of wondering with our name, is that kind of.
Because the state requires 3 years of science, so right now we require biology, chemistry, and physics. Because we had to add earth science, we didn't want to change the number of years. Students are still encouraged to take that, because right now we have a lot of seniors who aren't in science right now. We want them to continue in science, it's just not a requirement for graduation.
Like, I guess what is also like the delineating line between middle school earth science and high school earth science?
That is something you would have to call MDE on, like, I'm not the
Is this,
expert
is
on
this,
that.
is this decision made by like the science department of MSA, not MDE, like?
No, MDE came up with they changed the graduation
Oh,
standard.
alright.
We didn't change the graduation standard, they came back, because typically in a lot of schools, students take physical science in ninth grade and then they go to biology. Math and science has always gone straight to biology, and I think that the intention was to continue with that. However, the state has said, no, you have to do earth science. So that's why we're adding this, and so this is a way to try and keep students to still have all the opportunities they currently have and meet the state requirement.
So I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
With biology, going forward, for next year's ninth graders, they'll get biology in 10th grade, but as I'm looking at this, it appears that they have to take regular biology before they can look at taking AP biology. Am I,
That's the
Not reading this
recommendation
right, or
from
am
the
I-
science department, yeah.
What?
That's a recommendation for the science department.
Okay.
Currently, we're doing AP biology every day. So it's a double block if we're gonna allow. So I don't know if they still wanna do the double block. They've kind of gone back and forth. Part of it is gonna depend on what registration starts to look like in terms of what the demand is. Cause we could run into a period where we have not a ton of kids in biology for the year because they're going to earth science. And all of our current ninth graders have had biology. So there's gonna be some kind of wiggle room. We're gonna have to figure out where kids, what they want to see how we can fit it in. Cause we don't really have any predictive data. Most classes, I can tell you, there's gonna be 2 sections because I just know, because that's what kids sign up for. These might be different kids, but they, as a whole, they typically do that. This, we don't really have a lot of data on right now because we've never tried to make a shift like this in high school.
well, because I know a few years back, it was, you had to have chemistry before you could take AP Chem, whereas before you could take one or the other. And then I think we've gone back to now they can take AP Chem without having the regular Chem first. So I was wondering if we were going back to that, you have to have the standard before you go to the AP.
Our results are better when they do that way.
Well,
So, I mean, it just depends, I think we're gonna have a little bit of flexibility going into this just to try to make it
okay.
work,
I
so
was
we can
just
meet the needs
curious.
of the kids. No, but they're good questions, cause I was kind of asking the same thing. And I wish Mr. Heyman was here because he really went through this process with them
Okay.
and had all the details.
And that's his
So,
background.
Just to, some of this was driven by MDE, but with our expansion, do we see things changing? Like, will we have more electives, more APs? Will the bottom part change, the 11th and 12th
So
grade?
we would hope to continue to add, we've been adding there quite a bit,
Yeah.
but we would, as we can have more and more.
More students,
And-
more electives potentially?
And the forensics class right now is exceptionally popular. Like, I really kind of underestimated
That's
how
a
much.
new one for us.
That's a new one. I think Mr. Heyman's been murdered a few times this year already, and they've been investigating the forensics around that. Not for real, but he is apparently the
Go-to victim.
go-to victim. His office is right next door to the forensics room, so he can pop in and,
Get
you know,
murdered.
yes, I guess. Nobody's been injured in the forensics class. But, no, the hope would be to continue to add, not just the advanced ones, but more high-interest science electives like that. Okay. So that's where we're headed for that. The other piece on graduation standards, currently, we require 21.5 credits to graduate. That number was based on a 7-period day, which meant the student could earn 7 credits per year over 4 years. Now, students can earn 8 credits per year over the course of the 4 years. So we need to up the number of credits for graduation in order to keep it proportional to our number of opportunities for students to get credits. So what we're recommending is that students currently in the class of 2024 through 2026 would have the same, would still keep the 21.5 credits to graduate. Students in the class of 27, which are the current ninth graders, we would up the credits that they need to graduate to 23. And then with the eventual 2028, so the kids who are currently in 8th grade and beyond would be required to have 25 credits for graduation. So it would be a full schedule for 3 years and then 1 more credit, which is very similar to what we have right now. So is there any questions on that? Okay. And you've all seen the survey data. There's just a few things that I wanted to highlight because we had some tremendous gains. Caitlin, are you able to click up? Our parent survey data was very, very positive. Our school board, so there's a couple I want to highlight. Our school board in the area of upholds mission and vision for MSA. Your rating went up by almost 15% to nearly 86% of our families saw that as positive. The school board advocates on behalf of students in the school went up almost 15 points to almost 81% positive rating. We also had a almost 16.5% gain in administrators demonstrating genuine concern for the success of students. That's at just a little over 84%. And something that we've been working on for a long time, and Justin has really been working it. The website is easy to navigate and contains current information. That's almost 90% right now, up over 14%. And then something that we've been working on since I got here, we still have work to go, is that MSA meets the needs of those students who struggle academically and need extra help learning. So that went up over 16%. It still needs work. We're still at 74% positive outcome, but I think we can be very proud of that work. And I don't have the graph included for teachers, but our staff survey came back with a few things that I thought were really positive. 100% of our staff feel safe at work. 100% of our staff feel the school morale is positive. Almost 98% feel that the staff shows respect for each other. 95% of the staff says that the school is sensitive to issues of diversity, race, gender, religion, ability, etc. And an area that teachers have recognized and students also recognize that we need work in the area of students showing respect for each other. We have a couple of areas, we have some students that are struggling with that aspect of positive school climate. Students, just to be really quick, they love our office staff. They would recommend MSA to friends and family. They gave you the biggest jump, I think, as the school board, up almost 14% about setting a clear mission and vision for the school. And then something we've been working on for the last 3 years, the amount of homework is appropriate. Only 66% think that that's true, but that's up almost 12% over last year. So those are just some highlights. The full report is in the board packet, but I think that that's reason to celebrate. We've made some good progress as a board and as a school.
And keep these handy because as we work towards our new goals for our contract renewal, these will probably influence what we're gonna be doing with that, so.
Yeah.
Can you speak to, what do you call it, turnout? It was higher this.
It was
last
higher,
week.
yeah, so it's hard to say because not everybody answered every question. Last year, though, we had about 90 parents respond. This year, it was 132. Staff, we had, I think, nearly all of the full-time staff. And then students, we had nearly just under half, almost 300 students take it. So our number of participants went up significantly. I still think there's work to be done in terms of getting turnout, but we did remind people more, and I think that did help. Expansion update, I just want to do a real quick thing. We had a closed session, we talked about some properties. Just for the community, we have a property in Woodbury that we're looking at, and we have 2 in Cottage Grove. The ones in Cottage Grove are near the Woodbury border. All of them are 20-plus acres and have good potential. So moving forward, we'll be looking at making more progress in March with the hope of being ready to make a purchase agreement in May. The building company, there's not an enormous amount of excitement in there, other than we have an assurance claim that's gonna get all new windows for building A. So that's very exciting. We do have at least one window that if you lean on it, it will fall out. It's not really attached to the school. It's in the window spot, but it's not really attached. So we have a lot of window issues here, and so we will be getting those all replaced, most likely early summer, because it is highly disruptive. More disruptive than replacing the roof is to pull out the windows in a classroom while there's students in there. So teachers in building A, we will not be pulling out the windows while you teach, if we have any luck. Next quick thing is honor roll data. There's a chart in there, it has all the data, but we had 82% of the students make the honor roll in the first semester this year, which is up from 79% last year. Getting there.
Again, data we'll use when we do our goals, so.
Yes, so all of this is in there, I just don't wanna, I love the data and I could go down a wormhole if I stay in it too long. Human resources transaction, the one thing to highlight, we are splitting the MARS coordinator and the student enrollment coordinator have been together. Ms. Punzek has done a phenomenal job on both. When those 2 jobs were put together and she was hired, there were 358 students in the school. We have now, next year, we will be nearly double that. The lottery, we just approved the lottery. The enrollment process begins now, so starting tomorrow, those emails and whatnot will go out. So we would like to begin with the enrollment coordinator soon, and then get that process underway so that we're ready to go for next year. So that is that update. And the last thing on the list is the Rondo's Honors Night, but I don't want to steal the thunder of our student rep. So if there's no other questions on my report, I will, he's next, right?
Finance governance, but I think in the future we might bump them earlier.
Yes.
Just because, like I said, there's been a few changes requested by Teamworks as we go. That's why a couple of these items are out of the norm. But
Oh,
yeah.
okay. You want to,
So maybe in the future we'll put students up first.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
So anyway, I'll save the Rondo Honors Night for the students.
And as always, reach out to Dr. Hinton if you do have questions or follow up on certain things. She's more than willing to answer them. Isaac, Finance Committee.
All right, the big idea of the financial reports look the same big idea as they did when we went over the November and December reports. So this latest report is from the very last day of January. We have the ADM now is at 601 in our working budget, so it's kind of leveled off right around 600 right now. Our working budget surplus for the year is a little over 43,000. As of the latest report, we have a very healthy cash balance and all good on the projected cash on hand and projected debt service coverage. Some other things to look at just in the last little bit of time since the last report is we did receive some emergency connectivity fund. So we have received a little over $100,000 so far in that fund, and we'll have one more disbursement pending for that. So that's one update from the last month. And then also everything is good on the lease aid now, so now the kind of the state aid we're actually receiving each month is higher than it was in the past. Those are the big ideas, and we've kind of talked about expansion already. Are there any other topics in there you want to talk about as a board? I would say, I guess the other thing is now that we have more of an idea of what next year will look like, we can start moving, the administration team and creative planning can start moving into the rough draft budget stage with more confidence, and we'll start seeing some rough drafts as a board as possibly as soon as next meeting, or at least later in the spring.
Would you like to motion to approve?
We'll make a motion to approve the January finance reports.
Is there a second? Mary? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. All right, governance, are there any questions for Heddle in the governance committee meetings minutes? Is there an update of where we're kind of at with the year?
Getting there. 600 work next time. Focused on election stuff really this time. We did discuss recurring discussion that keeps coming up is with the max suggested, what's the word, essential policies list. So just has not been delegated to the committee to go down that road. So as of now, the committee is sticking with what it was resolved to do, instructed to do, which is convert existing policy to the MSBA charter models and then bring them for board consideration. So.
Any questions? All right, as you can see, some of the 600 items will be on the agenda for Monday is the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yep, so that'll be posted by the end of the week.
And if I can just add, there were some other second reads, we just held them
Yeah.
for next meeting because of the volume of things on the consent agenda. So those will come back for the second read. I think there was 3 or 4 of them next month. So anybody who was looking for them, they will come back, they're not gone.
I wasn't given invite for
Are
the
you- do you
next
wanna-
meeting. I keep trying to, there's just
Yeah, I can.
issues with my dog.
I can include you
Babysitting.
in that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I just didn't wanna continue
No, no,
to
no.
bother you
No,
if you weren't able to come.
I do wanna come, it's just.
We don't have a quorum worry, do we?
Let me just check and see what the,
No, you need
No, we're
five.
okay, yeah.
Just out of curiosity, and I know I've brought up the max essential policies purely because we've rescinded some policies at the recommendation of the governance committee, but then we find out that they're required by state statute. I'm thinking the health insurance one especially, and MSBA didn't even know that that was a requirement at that point in time for charter schools. So I guess my curiosity is how are we ensuring that we are staying within the statutes for charter schools when MSBA is just beginning their charter school? And they admitted this at the MSBA training that I went to, that they are just putting some of the, getting the charter school piece fleshed out for policies. So I guess I'd like to make sure that we don't miss any more.
So I think it's a little presumptive for us, again, to say that MSBA did not know that there was a statutory requirement in 124E that it's on the tip of my tongue, health insurance, that we have a policy on the books for it. I just don't want that. We shouldn't say that. What is new is that they are putting together, since last October, they have been putting together drafts of charter models. And that is what is special and unique, and I think why the board resolved that we start adopting those, because there is nowhere else in Minnesota for us to get models, like model policies, other than to go to attorneys and invest the money in them drafting policy for us. So this really, and the initiative is to level set all charters, just like the district schools. So, you just get a whole system of education in Minnesota that has level set policies. Every child treated equitably, equally, same opportunities, securing the same rights. So I think that's the goal that they're trying to achieve. And if there's...
More than willing to work with us too, in that matter, which is important.
Yeah, and they are amending. I mean, they amend as they learn. They're very receptive to feedback. So it's just, having those models is just so...
And to answer your question,
Nice.
yes, we are keeping track of MAC's website as well, but to Fiddle's point, they just don't provide the model policies that really
Right,
help.
there's not you
guide
have
us.
to really
Yep.
dig and look
Mhm.
at
But
how
they
it
say
fits.
essential, and there's a list of what, 100? And that's probably an overreach, but
I was gonna say,
there's-
it's not that many. but
there's
yeah.
quite a few there. But again, there's no model policy that goes back into this, it's tied to this law or this policy or this statute. It just,
Well, an
You should have
essential
this.
versus mandatory versus recommended.
So, and I think that's something Max is probably working on their end too. They've just went through an administrative change. I don't know if you've heard, but Eugene Piccolo has since passed his services tonight, so we wish him and his family all the respects. But they're working through things as well. So we are monitoring on both ends, whether it's Max or MSBA, to ensure that we're doing this correctly.
so Heddle, prior though to the MSBA model charter policies, we were adopting the district policies and attempting to modify them,
The district models,
the district model
which were also
policies.
published by MSBA, or we
Those
were
were,
making up
yeah,
our
that's
own.
what we were using before, but the legal references weren't correct because they didn't apply to all the charter laws.
Yeah.
So I think that's what brought on all of this policy work, from my understanding at this point. Right? Or-
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, it's, I think it'll be fun for the school and the continuing committee in the future to just look for those new updates and continue this dialogue that our school has with the policy professionals at MSBA. It's fun work. It's just, it's nice to learn,
Mhm.
right? And evolve.
Is there any other questions or comments? Thank you, Hedo. To the student report.
Hi, guys.
I guess, like I said, Joseph, we'll bump you up. We'll bump you up with the new change.
Yeah, it's alright. So I have to leave for church. It's been a while, so I have some things to tell you guys. So there's a lot of things we want to talk about. Definitely one thing is, again, hi guys. I want to talk about some things that's going on in Black Student Union. Also with sports at MSA. First of all, it's Happy Black History Month. 2024 theme for Black History Month is African Americans and the arts. This spans the many impacts Black Americans have had on visual arts, music, cultural movements, and more. This month also the Black Student Union and I would like to highlight the positive things that are happening at MSA to honor Black History Month. The BSU was able to sponsor and serve the second annual staff breakfast on Valentine's Day last Wednesday. This was to promote servant leadership in our community and also honor and thanking the staff for their cultural awareness at MSA and how well they've been working with that. Next, also, MSA will participate in a school-wide literacy activity called a read-in to take place on Wednesday, February 28th during all advisories. This is a national event that will take place all over the country in honor of this year's Black History Month theme, which, as I said, is the African diaspora's contribution to the arts in the U.S. Also, I'm pretty sure Teacher Lozano has more information on that if you guys need it. More things I also want to talk about is definitely a Rondo Honors Night. This is probably one of the biggest nights MSA has ever hosted in importance and in size. The Rondo Honors Night is a celebration of the rich culture and history of African Americans, of the African American community in Minnesota, as it relates to the destruction of the Rondo community to build the I-94 highway a while back. The event will introduce the Math and Science community, the Math and Science Academy community, and also a distinguished group of African American elders who have led the way for the civil rights movement in Minnesota. Opening the event, we will have middle school students Jenna Macha, Sakshi Singh, and Ziada Nasser sharing the highlights of their National History Day project on the Tulsa Race Massacre. This presentation will showcase why we should be educated on the Tulsa Race Massacre and how it connects to the African American community in Minnesota within the history of the Rondo neighborhood. For those of you who don't know, Tulsa was it was called Black Wall Street. It was just a buzzing hub of African American wealth and prosperity, and it was ended shortly because the United States government dropped bombs over the neighborhood because of a false accusation done against a singular black man, and that ended a lot of people's lives and separated families. So this they're going to be sharing their project on that and kind of how that relates to the Rondo community, how that community was also destroyed in not the same way, but in a similar way where black prosperity was ended. Some panelist speakers that will be there is Melvin Whitfield Carter Jr., who was a retired St. Paul police officer and sergeant in the city of the St. Paul, and he's also the St. Paul mayor's father. Nathaniel Kalik, who was also a retired St. Paul fireman. He's also a retired NAACP president, and he of the St. Paul chapter. Yusuf Mageni, he is a retired award-winning journalist in the radio, television, and print media. He's also a former NAACP executive member. Also Frank White, who was retired from the Inner City Youth League. He's a former athlete and Rondo historian involved with curating the Rondo exhibit at the Minnesota History Center. And also a guest member that will be coming in is Nakima Armstrong. I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she's an activist, a very powerful activist, and she's created a book called Jays for Justice. She is the president of the Minneapolis chapter for NAACP, so she will be there tonight. Also, we will be doing this in tangent with the Stillwater High School BSU, and God willing, we get the gym that night. We find out tomorrow because of girls section in their basketball games, but we're planning to do it in tangent with the rest of the 833 BSU community. So Eastridge, Park, Woodbury, We also invited Tartan African Student Association there as well, because these are all students who live in the area. So that's gonna be a big thing. Also, following that activity, the panelist speakers, we'll have a BSU senior representatives, and their future plans, so they will, there will be like a little ceremony for the seniors who are part of Black Student Union, and there's gonna be something done for them. The something is quote unquote by Miss Brooks, who is not telling me what that something is.
You'll like it, I know.
Yeah, I hope I like it. And so yeah, and this event is also going to be moderated by Mr. Patrice Bailey, which is an MSA parent, who's an MSA parent, and we welcome all of our MSA families and teachers and staff to attend, learn, and grow together at this event. It's formal, so it's formal wear like suits and dresses. So it's a very big night at MSA. It's history changing. I mean, to get all these people from this community in one place, especially all these influential people in one spot, is really a big thing. And also to get all of 833 involved in this also is another big thing. And so thank you to Ms. Brooks, and also my BSU team for working on this with me. Also want to talk about now towards the MSA Act, the other MSA groups, the other clubs, and the sports going on at MSA. This was Josh's part he gave to me. First, I want to talk about is First Robotics. They've been working hard on their competition since the beginning of the school year. They've spent countless hours at the school 3D printing, constructing code, and doing CAD designing to reach to the point where they are now, First Robotics also recently competed in the Minnesota Robotics State Tournament and made it to the semifinals. Despite not being able to reach the finals, we're very proud of the Dragons Robotics team, and we hope they continue their dominant run for seasons to come. They've been a very successful team, we all know this, so good job to my robotic friends out there. Next, I want to talk about the girls and boys basketball teams. They're nearing the end of their season as we transition into the spring sports season. After their most recent win against North Lakes, the girls basketball team has now 2 more games before they enter the section playoffs. Their next game is tomorrow night against North Lakes at home, 5:30. Boys basketball also has 3 more games before they enter the section playoffs. They currently are 12-10 on the season after their most recent win against the International School of Minnesota, I think that's what it's called. And their next game is tomorrow versus Chesterton Academy for senior night. So they're going to be also honoring the seniors and the senior basketball players tomorrow night. Also, MSA students, the spring sports season is upon us, so track and field season officially starts after spring break, but they had their first captain practice today. And they will be held from February 20th to March 1st from 4:15 to 5:30. So get your forms turned in for that. And this Saturday night is also the MSA Winter Formal, which is a dance from 7 to 10 hosted by the Spanish Club. Lastly, I want to talk about why I've been gone for such a long time is because of MSA and CDH's co-op swim team. This was also like not supposed to happen. Like we got this co-op 2 weeks into the season, since it began. So it's been great. But despite there being only 10 guys on the swim team and having no divers, we're actually ranked top 20 in the entire state of Minnesota. That's what the big guys that we compete with, like Minnetonka and them, who have like 40, 35 guys, and with only 10 guys and no divers, to be ranked that high has been really fun. Also, over half of our team has made the all-conference list. 7 guys, 4 of them are actually on the all-conference. I'm one of them, and another one of our students at MSA, Ryan Cunningham, he's a freshman. He made the all-conference honors list. I'm also ranked top 20 in the Suburban East Conference for swimming, so that is, and that's also me coming in 2 weeks late and also missing all those meets. So the Suburban East Conference is East Ridge, Forest Lake, Irondale, Mounds View, Park, Roseville, Stillwater, White Bear, Woodbury, and Crane-Durham Hall. So that has also been something that I've been able to do, also being ranked 29th in the state of Minnesota for the 100-yard butterfly in the class of 2024. And yeah, we're reaching our last competition. It's sections on Thursday that kind of determines who goes to state and who doesn't get to go to state. So that's what we got going on for us. So yeah, it's been a really fun season this year, and I'm glad that it's it's been super successful, with Gabe and Ryan and me. We're the only 3 MSA guys on that team, but, as I said, the rest are like 7 other dudes who go to the CDH, so, we're really good, despite our size, and we've been doing really well, so it's been fun to represent, the Dragons, and, yeah, so that's all I have for you guys, and that's it.
Thank you.
So, thank you guys. Yeah.
One small plug, Sounds of Hope concert is on Tuesday.
Okay, I didn't.
Yeah. That's just my plug. Anyways, thank you for sharing all that information. It's good to hear what's going on in our community. So last couple things on our agenda, action items. We need to set a date for our expansion town hall. The proposed dates are April 4th, 9th, 10th, or 11th. Is there anything you want to add to that, Dr. Hinton?
So the expansion committee, the last meeting, the last town hall we did was in January, and it was very well attended. It seemed to be something that families did, appreciate that information and wanted to know more about our expansion plans. And I think coming about April, I'm hesitant to go into May because everything seems to happen into May, to try and get a event in April, just to ensure something happens before we go to the summer break. I mean, we may still have meeting in the summer, it's just hard to get people here. So these 4 dates were suggested by the expansion committee. They are not exclusive of all the nights, it was just what they had suggested. So if there's a different night that looks good, I think last time we had 3 or 4 board members come. I don't know, Mr. Sutton, is there a quorum problem if we're not making any decisions?
We're not making decisions, no.
So, I mean, if everyone wants to come, or whoever would like to
And
come.
we're posting it as well, I mean, in advance, saying this is what we're gonna talk about,
Yep.
so.
Yeah, we publicize it and that, and.
The only hesitation I see is that Eid al-Fitr starts on the 9th.
What
Okay.
starts, Mary?
Eid for
Oh, Ramadan, yeah.
Ramadan.
So maybe avoid the 9th.
So
We do
I
the
don't
4th.
know, that's
We
when
could
it
do the 4th.
begins
The
at
4th is-
sunset, I'm not sure
Does the 4th work for?
how long it lasts, but I would say we'd want to definitely stay away from that. Just to be sensitive to our families.
So we have, on the 2nd, we have a workshop, and then the 4th, I mean, I don't know that that matters for any of you in terms of your schedule. The 4th is a Thursday.
What day of the week did we have our last one?
I think we ended
It was
up on Wednesday, but
Wednesday.
that was because there was all kinds of
Right.
stuff sandwiched in there.
I'd like to try a different night than what we had, just to hopefully give an opportunity for someone who didn't have an opportunity previous.
This would be Thursday instead of Wednesday,
Yeah.
so.
That's a good one.
So you think the 4th? Okay.
It's coming off of holiday breaks too, so.
I don't know if that's something you need to vote on, or if we can just put that on the calendar.
I mean, you're managing it, but I think
Yeah.
it's nice that you asked us.
Well,
Yes.
because I would like to
Yeah.
know, because I think that the public, the families appreciated.
Yeah.
The board
We
being
pretty
there.
much filled up the, well, I mean, I can't say for us, but
No, yeah, but I mean.
we filled up the room, which
No,
was.
but
quite
I think
good.
it's good
Yeah.
though for the board to also hear the questions that are being
Mm-hmm.
asked, because there was a variety of questions, some of which I didn't expect. They weren't bad questions, they were just questions I hadn't anticipated. So,
Is there a tentative date? And I hate to say it because of weather.
do we wanna say April 4th, and I think we did 6 o'clock before, 6 to 7:30 seems to be,
I felt everybody came at that time too. There really wasn't
Yeah, there
any
wasn't people
late
before.
stragglers.
alright.
Maybe it's not needed, but could we have like snacks or something? If you say snacks provided, if that would help bring more people, I'm just thinking.
Yeah, I
I
mean.
mean, we had, it was full last time.
Yeah, no, but, certainly
think
we
about
could
it,
look
it's
at
good
some
call.
snacks, something.
Potluck.
Well, I don't know, we don't wanna turn it into a different kind of an event, not that I'm not down for a good potluck.
Yes.
I was thinking cookies or.
Yeah,
something.
cookies or some
Chips, I
some
don't
kind
know.
of snacks. Yeah,
Just
we
to
can-
touch on Wendell's thing though, do we wanna have a backup date in case anything
Yeah.
happens that night?
It could be icy weather, it could be snow.
Because typically we do get snow that week.
Yeah,
Maybe,
the 11th.
With-
well, I think we had that, well, the 11th's the dodgeball tournament.
I was gonna say,
Or maybe maybe we just go to
do we dare go
the
out to the
8th, the
18th?
Monday, or we could go to the 18th, I guess. We have a board meeting that week too, but that doesn't matter.
We won't, where do we hold this? Because we won't be able to use the gym likely, that's spring play.
We do it in the Great Hall. Great Hall.
Great,
Well, 18th, maybe we just do the 18th as a backup.
Yeah, just as a backup. Mhm. All right,
Okay.
any other questions, comments? No, I'm presuming this is April, we probably would have more of a refined vision of where we're gonna be at that point,
Yeah,
and maybe starting to talk next steps.
we'll be getting closer. I think it's
Yeah.
gonna be important for families to kind of know the decision is coming.
Mhm.
And by that point, we may be narrowed to even
Will-
fewer properties.
MTH be there if there's more questions, or I'm just
We can
curious.
kind of see where we are on that, and certainly they would be willing to come if we thought that we needed them.
We'll play it out, we still got a couple months, but see where
Yeah.
we're at.
We'll see. I think they're gonna be visiting us fairly often
Mhm.
at this point.
Good. And then MSA election plan. Who would like to walk us through the plan?
And I was there, but so was Mary and Jules, Sarah and Kate.
Yeah.
I can speak to it unless someone else wants to.
Go right ahead, floor's yours.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, then, Sarah? Yeah. Okay, I mean, you guys can see the link there, but I think tonight we need to approve the nomination form and this plan. And we put two plans in there because as you saw, we voted on the election and that changed the dates that we would certify things. So Plan A has, now that was approved in our consent agenda, I think we can just look at Plan A as our timelines and whatnot. But so basically, if we approve this tonight, if we're in agreement with this, and Justin was there as well, sorry. So Justin did a lot of this legwork and typing up. So he deserves credit for that, so thanks, Justin. So nominations will open as early as tomorrow if we're okay with this. Then a community email will be sent out and basically we need help from administration to send that out and say that the nominations are open. They'll be closed around this March 14th. I don't want to read everything through, but I think the main point is the plan is there with A, which would line up with our current election procedure. So if you scroll to like page 2 and then also page 3, so basically updating the website. That page 2 is the self-nomination form. I think pretty close to about what we had similar. I mean, these are some forms to fill out with some prompts, questions that people could answer to try to get them thinking about why this would make sense. And then if I look on this one, I'm looking at the last page on the balloting. I'm trying to think, where did we address the background check? Because that was a change that we've implemented now.
That's in the,
Policy.
It's in the policy.
that's in the policy,
I'm wondering,
but
but
I
I think
thought
we were
we
gonna
were
mention
having
it.
Oh,
somewhere
it's on
on-
March 15th. So,
We will do that, I'm just wondering how are we signaling it to, I mean, I guess they will see it in the policy 201.1, but.
Yeah, because if you look at the self-nomination form, it actually has it there too. When the data's gotta be completed, as well as to be sure to check MSA bylaws and election policy 201.1 to confirm that you are eligible. Right?
Okay.
So it's been stated there so that people are being told, this is where you go to check to make sure you are actually eligible.
Yeah, and at the bottom it says, I understand I completed a background check.
That's what I was looking for, thank you, yeah, because we were gonna add that, yep. So we wanted to kind of make it right there, so you have to click, yes, I'm okay with that.
Do we want to put a statement in there that they're not discouraged to not run if they haven't done this? They should need to do it in a timely fashion, though. I just wonder
They
if
won't
this
do
yes
it.
no will discourage people from.
Good question. They won't do the background check, we were trying to signal to them, so it's not like a surprise.
Mhm.
On the back end, we say, oh, I see you, but do you know?
So maybe put I plan option.
Because they won't do it, right, we'll do it.
right.
So
Yeah.
they're just understanding that it will be done?
Yeah.
maybe I'm
Sorry.
misunderstanding. your question.
Yeah, I must be
I
reading this.
understand, I will
Like,
submit
what
to a
part are you
background
looking
check
at?
maybe?
Oh, I
The
see.
background check is after nominations close.
Yeah, but actually, this is maybe not quite worded correct, because it would say,
Yeah, I will
I
submit.
will,
I must
so,
complete.
About,
Yeah.
I don't know.
instead of completing,
Yeah, 'cause
I will
that sounds like
submit
they're
to
doing
a background check.
yeah,
That might be a better
I
way to
think that's a
word it.
better word,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that.
That's an easy enough fix though. as
Yep.
Do
well.
you have that? I didn't catch that.
So instead of
Fix
I
that.
must complete, I will, or I agree to submit the background check or something like
Or
that.
I agree to.
I agree
Does
to
it make
sub-
sense to put in there, I will submit to a background check by March 15th? Meaning they can say, I'll get it started, if they put it in on March 1st, they could say, yeah, put my background check in right away, right?
The only reason I'm hesitant is if we miss that in the future, if we change that date at all, but, I mean,
Or to
It's
be agreed.
easier,
Something you
just
wanna
from a standpoint, typically we send all the background checks in, like, particularly like at the back to school when we've got a lot of them, we tend to batch them.
Yeah.
So we probably, whether they sent it on the 1st or they gave it on the 8th, it's all probably going in the same envelope.
I just had a quick question. I'm kind of sick right now, guys, so I'm trying my best right now. Are we on the MSA election planner?
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, good question.
And is this for MSA like board members like you guys or student board
The
representatives?
students
one.
is different,
Students is different.
yeah,
Okay.
and I can work with you on that,
Okay.
Joseph, at a different time.
The other thing I noticed too is in the statement, the paragraph at the top, it states there is no campaigning allowed, but our policies discourages campaigning. So I just want to make sure that language is the same.
Yeah, so if we said additional campaigning is discouraged, something like that,
Yeah.
yeah, that's another good catch. Okay,
And then,
so, oh, go ahead.
sorry, this is the English teacher in me. The last question before the like yes, no's, in your own words, describe the mission and vision of MSA. Could we say like, describe your interpretation of the mission and vision or your
Perspective.
perspective of the mission and vision? Because like, are we just asking them to paraphrase? Like, right? You're not saying what about the
Or,
mission
or
and
what does it
vision?
mean to you, or something
Yeah,
like that?
exactly.
I like that, what does the
Yeah.
mission and vision
What
mean?
does the mission and vision mean to you?
What does it mean to you? Yeah, that's nice.
Make that change too.
You or your, well, I guess you can't say student because it could be a teacher. So just, what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
So I would like to make the motion that we approve this with those 3 amendments, and Sarah, I don't know if you got those, but so we're gonna
There
change.
was, yeah,
I
submit
will
to background
Submit
check,
to background check.
the question, or
What is
not, campaigning's discouraged.
Discouraged on the top of page 2, and then that third one is what does the mission and vision mean to
To
you?
you.
And Dan, is your motion for just the form or for the whole plan?
I think it's the plan, the
So
plan and the form.
the
ba-
only thing
basically-
the only thing I would add, and this came up after our meeting, is I heard from parents, it would be nice when that first email goes out to let them know when it closes. So we didn't do that with the surveys. So that when it first comes out, elections are now open,
So make sure
or
to put a solid
voting
close
now
date.
begins, and it closes on this date.
So
Just
March
like
14th.
nominations
when we
now
send that
begin,
email.
and they are open until this day. And
March
so that
14th.
all
It's
of
on the
our
schedule.
communication out
Okay.
has that end date.
On the first page.
And to your point on that, Mary, I was wondering, we got better results in the survey or higher return rate when we reminded people more.
Right.
Does the board wanna make because right now the plan has 2 reminders. That's fairly low for people. I mean,
How many reminders do we use for the survey? roughly?
I don't recall, because the parent reminders don't come to me. They just go out, but it would seem like if we were able to text and email, kind of alternating on the business days that I mean, I don't wanna irritate people, but the more voice we can have, the better off we would be. We could follow something with the staff as well. And I'm sorry, I didn't bring it up at the election
No.
committee, I
Well,
was kind of
there's-
running
there's
around.
a couple of ways. I mean, there's your weekly updates, bi-weekly updates.
Uh-huh.
There will be an update from myself and the board after our meeting, so that's an opportunity as well in this time frame. So there are other ways to kind of plug it in without bombarding with constant emails.
Right.
Because I just want to make sure, I don't want to make sure we're not suppressing the vote either. We want to make sure that we're getting as much as we can.
And will it go out in the announcements as well?
Yeah,
I
so-
mean, I know
Yeah.
that the students aren't voting
Mhm.
right now, but a lot of us parents get the daily announcements. Some people read them, some people don't, some people,
But I like the text push idea, so maybe offsetting a text versus an email, so it's not all at once.
right,
Would it be appropriate for, I can develop a plan, because you're gonna approve the ballot at the April 16th meeting, or even at the May 25th, to develop the, I don't know,
March 25th.
marketing plan seems a little, not the right word, but the reminder plan so that you could
the
approve.
communication plan?
Well, yeah, something to that effect. How we're gonna remind families to vote and staff to vote and everyone, if we could maybe develop a plan
Yeah, I think
that
having.
was just, so that we can really think through it, because I think we could talk about it a long time here.
Having
That doesn't need to be board approved, it just
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and we've got time, because
Yeah.
the ballot doesn't,
yeah, if it's ready for the approval.
I mean, the
ballots.
voting doesn't begin till May 2nd, so
Yeah.
we've got a little time.
So, yeah, so big picture, I think a good question.
Yeah.
We're gonna meet again, the plan is March 25th,
Yep.
4 or 5 of us,
Mhm.
that was the plan. So I think tonight if we can release the nomination form and this general plan, which is basically trying to get us towards a May board approval. That's the big, and then I think we can agree offline on the communication. But
Yeah.
well received that,
Yeah.
how do we communicate more effectively, get more names?
Mhm.
I think that's the
Can I
point, yeah.
suggest that you also have, not as much as the voting, but have additional communication about the nominations, opening and closing? Like, at least having one about like, don't forget, nominations close tomorrow. Or like maybe one in between, because right now it just says there's one email
Mhm.
now open, and then that's it.
Close.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Kate, I think let's work with Justin and see what's a
Yeah.
good way to make sure that that's clear.
Yeah, and I'll check and make sure that the nomination form is in good shape before we send that out.
So is there a motion to, do we have that in
I
there?
motioned it.
Not yet, okay,
Yeah.
1 second.
Okay, you ready?
Oh, I motion to approve, I guess we asked to approve the nomination form and the election plan, but on the form, we have those 3 amendments. Did you capture those too?
Mhm.
So the amendments, I believe, was
Yeah, I will agree to submit to a background check rather than a
complete.
complete one. The form intro, we're gonna say campaign is discouraged. Question 7, what does the mission vision mean to you? And then add a closing day in emails and communication.
And then also put in a communication plan to be developed by the committee.
Yeah.
A motion to approve the nomination form and election plan by Dan, was there a second for that?
I guess you could say Plan A,
And
if you wanted
plan
to. You had 2
A by
plans.
Dan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And then we have the amendments I agree to submit to background check, form intro, the campaigning is discouraged, question 7, what does the mission and vision mean to you? Add a closing date on the emails, March 14th, and then a communication plan to be developed by the committee. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. All right, future board items, the election coming up, the executive director's review. I'll be working with Christine on how we're gonna move forward with that. similar to what we were doing in the past. And then we also have SAM contracts goals coming up as well, so be prepared for a deep dive into those.
Wendell, we tried something new this year with the committees. Does it make sense to do an overview and a review of how they're going with the board appointed structure? I mean, we're 6 months in now, a little bit more.
Mhm.
You know, kind of rose and thorns.
I like the rose thorns idea.
What's going well, what's not going well, or thumbs up, thumbs downs kind of things, however you wanna put it.
Yeah. And I think that'll be I think that should come up with maybe the SAM's contract goal review, because there's gonna be a lot of discussion on how to move forward, especially with Christine bringing the 3-year plan moving forward. Some other things, so we'll talk about a potential date for that, but that's a good idea.
Okay.
Could that potentially be some kind of, something we talk about in a workshop?
Yep, absolutely, especially with the rose and thorn activity, I agree. Any other future items?
Just wanted to get that one out,
Appreciate it.
out there.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move.
Or did you have something head on?
Okay, no, we did it. Okay.
Alright, motion to adjourn?
I did.
Mary did, sorry. Yeah, I had hesitated, so I went back to her, so. Is there a second?
I will second.
Hinkle, all in discussion, all in favor? Opposed, abstain? Excellent. Have a good evening, everybody.
Can I just note that it is 7:43?